Hello everybody, this is Candy. This is Honey Girl Home Creations. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am happy you're here. This is my first real video for making a wreath, so I am so glad that you've joined me. We will get through this together. I'm going to start off by showing you kind of a list of materials that we need to do this, and then we'll kind of get started. So first of all, I've got some wire cutters. I have a mesh cutter or a rotary cutter. I've got my self-healing mat on my table. If you don't have one of these, don't worry. You can do the same thing with a pair of scissors. This makes it a little bit faster, and sometimes it can help the mesh not to fray quite as much. But if you don't have one yet, do not worry. I worked for quite a while before I got one, so no worries with that. I also have some needle nose pliers. Sometimes I use those. These are little ones, but it's good to have. I've got a regular set of pliers, and I've got some scissors. I've got a couple pair of scissors actually, because I tend to misplace them. I have some zip ties. These are shorter ones. It just happens to be what I have. I have some longer ones too, but I just grabbed these, so that's what we're going to use. I have a little piece of cardboard. You'll see what we're going to use that for in just a little bit. Let's see, for the wreath itself, I have a Wreath Form from the Dollar Tree, so just $1, and I also have some pipe cleaners or chenille stems, whatever you want to call them. These actually came from the Dollar Tree as well, and I'll show you what we're going to do with those. I'll finish up my Wreath Form. I got started on it, but I did not finish it because I wanted to show you kind of what I was doing, so I've got a couple left to do. I'll show you what to do with those. I have a little sign that I also got at the Dollar Tree. It's a starfish shape, and it has all sorts of stuff about the beach and sun and all sorts of kind of nautical little stuff. It has a little crab on it, orange. So it's blue and silver, kind of a turquoise with orange. I'm going to pull out some of those colors. You'll see in just a little bit. I have some orange mesh. This is a 21-inch roll. It's a new roll. I just took the wrapper off so that it wouldn't be crinkling on the video for you. And then I picked out some ribbons, just some different ones. I have this wide khaki kind of color, and then I have kind of an aqua color, also 2.5 inch. Both of those are 2.5 inch. We'll be using those. And then I have some 1.5 inches as well in coordinating colors. So this is a pretty orange. If you can see, it's kind of got some gold in it, and then it's a little bit sheer in there too. It's really pretty. And I thought that would be cute with the both with the mesh and also with the crab. So I've got that. I have some kind of turquoise and white stripe, also 1.5 inch. And then I have this pretty plaid that has kind of orange and kind of beige khaki and then some turquoise in it. So I'm thinking we'll probably work these in on our bow somewhere along the way. So for right now, I am going to, give me just a second to move the ribbons out of the way so they won't be kind of messing us up. I'm going to move down this way just a little bit so you can see me a little bit better. Okay, now I mentioned the Wreath Form. I'm not sure if you can see this or not. I'm kind of working from the side, I know, but I have just this orange, and I chose orange just because I had them, and they will kind of match the mesh. If you don't have a coordinating color, don't worry. You probably won't even be able to see it by the time you're done. So this is a, let's see what size. Here's the tag. This is a 14-inch Wreath Form. I'm not sure if you can see that. There we go. From the Dollar Tree. It's probably backwards, sorry about that, but anyway, got that at the Dollar Tree. So what I have done is I've taken 12 pipe cleaners, and I'm going to do 6 on the top round and then 6 on the bottom. So what that means, the top round and the bottom round, you'll see there are 4 wires, 4 layers, I guess, or levels on this form. The bottom 2 are what I consider the bottom round, and then the top 2 together kind of make the inside. So inside and outside. So I am going to put, or I put a pipe cleaner on the outside row at a crossbar. You've got, you know, the round ones, and then you've got crossbars. So it makes up, I think, 6 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 6 sections. So everywhere you see a crossbar at the bottom, I'm going to put a tie. And you can see that I've already done that on these. So on this last one, I'm going to show you kind of what I do. So I take the last 2 rungs and I run it up at this crossbar. On one side of the crossbar, I run one end up. You can see that a little bit inside that top one, inside the second one there. And then I bring the second one, the other end up on the outside. Let's come over this way some. I'm going to take this one on the outside and loop it around that outside ring. There we go. And bring it back up. And what that does is it stabilizes that tie and it keeps it from sliding back and forth. So once I've got that done, then I'm just going to take it and I'm going to give it a couple of good twists, and that just holds it where it is. And we'll come back and that's where we'll put our mesh. So I'm going to do the very same sort of thing for this the last inside one, except I'm going to use the top 2, the 2 inside rows. So I'm going to run it under that one, so when I have it in there, the only difference is I don't wrap it around one. So when I bring it up, you can see, maybe you can see, I have it around those 2 inside wires. Alright, so I'm going to take it, same thing, bring it up kind of even. Hope you can see that. And give it a couple, 2 or 3 good twists and do it just as tight as you can, and it won't slide very much there. By the time we get mesh in it and you get it good and full, it won't move anyway. So, alright. So here is our wreath form. We've kind of made our own. So we've got 6 on the inside, and I've left these together and pushed to the inside for right now because I'm going to start with my mesh on the outside. That's just kind of the way I do. It doesn't really matter. It's just your own personal preference. You do it, you know, whatever works for you. Try either way. I've heard people that do it both ways and they have good reasons. So you just try it both ways and just do what works best for you. On the outside, I have these ties and I've got them open because I'm going to use those first. If I go ahead and open them all up, then I don't have to fool with them as I'm going through with the mesh. So that's why I did that. So, all right. So we're going to start with the mesh now. So you can see I have this pretty orange foil, and this actually came from, I got this last year at the end of the season from Hobby Lobby. You can see it says fall 2019. It was originally $9.99. I think I probably paid about $3, $2 to $3. It was probably 70 or 80% off when I bought it. It is a little bit better than basic mesh, in that it's a little bit thicker, but we may still, we'll figure out exactly what we're going to do with it. So anyway, so what I'm going to do to start with, I'm going to take it and I just drop it on the floor. You see, I have this. I'm going to fold it over 2 or 3 inches probably. Fold those sides in, the outsides in, and gather it up. So when I'm done, I have this cute little lump here in my hand, but you don't see frayed edges. They're underneath there. It just makes it look a little bit neater. Here again, you don't have to. Sometimes I fold it, you know, under like this. Sometimes I just bunch it up and put it on there and go with it. It just depends on how much time I have and how much thought I give, I guess so. This is where we're going to start, use our first zip tie. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to take our mesh, and I am right-handed, so I will go counterclockwise around here. If you're left-handed, you may go the other direction, so whichever works better for you. I'm going to lay the mesh, I'm going to put it right before a tie, right before a twist tie. But I'm not going to twist that tie around it. I'm just going to lay it down. I'm going to take my zip tie. I'm going to put it under. You can do the first or the second ring from the outside. The outside, or the, you know, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, you can do it either 1 or 2. I do both of them. This one at time I happen to do 2, ring number 2. So I'll put it through there if you can see that. I'm going to lay my mesh down inside that. So the zip tie is under it. Now this is not a required step. This is something that I do. Kind of makes me feel a little bit better. Makes it more secure. Makes me feel like it is more secure, that the mesh is not going to come loose. Here again, I'm doing it right in front of that tie. So I'm going to take these pliers. There we go. And pull it. You may have more hand strength than I do, and you may be able to pull it without that. So, whichever works for you. So I've got that pulled good and tight. See how I have that? When I get done with that, I'm going to snip that tie just down at the end. Throw that away. And I don't know if you can see, but you can see the little cut side there. That can be a little bit sharp, so I always turn it to the inside. For two reasons. Number one, you can kind of cut yourself on it, but also it could, if you're doing these to sell or even for your own door, that can be sharp and that could scratch a door. You know, we don't want that. So anyway, all right. So now we're going to get started with our mesh. So remember, we've got 6 on the outside, 6 on the inside. So for our first one, I'm going to measure about 12-inch poofs. We're going to do the poof method. Easy for me to say. I'm going to do the poof method today with this one. So I'm going to measure about 12 inches. So this is one thing that is wonderful about these mats, this self-healing mat. It is great to be able to cut on. You can do just about anything on it. But it also has measurements on here. So if you are like me and you measure your mesh, it's wonderful because you don't have to get out a ruler, you don't have to get out a yardstick or a tape measure. It's right here. So I just lay it down on the tin, take it, bunch it in my hand loosely like that, and I'm going to run it down to about the 22. That will give me 12, and I'm going to go to my next tie. I'm going to lay it down inside that tie. Can you guys see that? And I'm going to give it a couple good twists to hold it in there, and then we're going to poof it out. See how pretty that is? So we're just going to do that all the way around the outside of the wreath, and then we will transition up to the inner ring, and I'll show you what to do with that. So as we go on around through here, I'm going to continue 12 inches, so at the 10 up to the 22, and this is about, if you don't want to measure, perfectly fine, you just eyeball them, that's no worries. If they're off by a little bit, an inch or two, it's not going to be terribly noticeable. We're going to have a lot of other pretty, stuff on here that'll take people's attention. So there, if your poofs are off by an inch or two, they're not going to notice it. Something else to I want to be sure that I mention to you as I'm doing this mesh. So you have the outside edge of the mesh. I guess you might call that the selvage, kind of like you do with fabric, I always try to make sure that I tuck that inside. It just makes your poofs look prettier. It will make them poof up better. I have it inside there. Plus, that can be a little bit rough. Those little edges can be a little bit rough and, catch on other mesh or ribbons. So it just makes it look a little bit neater, a little bit more professional to do that. So I'm just continuing around on the outside. I just fluff it as I go. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I do all the poofs and then I just fluff when I get, kind of to the end. Totally up to you. Once again. And here we are back around where we started. So you can see here's the tie. We didn't tie that around our original poof, but it's under there. So I'm going to just put this, lay it on top of the end of the mesh, the beginning of the mesh there, and I'm going to tie that a couple good times, pretty tight. Okay. Little poofs up here. Look how pretty that's looking already. And this is a good way to make a somewhat inexpensive wreath. I love wreath forms, but they are expensive, and I'm not at the point right now where I feel like I can justify paying $6 or $7 every time I make a wreath for that form, because obviously I have to pass that along to my customer. I'm trying to build my business, so I cut corners wherever I can, as long as it doesn't mean that I sacrifice quality. So anyway, just share that with you. Now we're going to transition up to the top. So I'm not going to cut the mesh. I'm just going to bunch it in my hand just like I have done. Go up to the top, and I'm going to go before the closest tie, going counterclockwise. We're going to do the very same thing with the zip tie. This time I'm going to do it on the very inside ring. So I guess it would be number 4 if you're numbering them 1 through 4, like that. And I'm going to lay the mesh across it, just like I did with that first piece. bunch it up, put it on there. All this does is it just helps secure it as you're transitioning, you know, from the bottom up to the top. Same thing again, get my pliers, and of course they have, there we go. Tighten it up as best I can. I'm going to snip it just like I did before. And I'm going to take that little cut edge just like I did before and turn it to the inside for those same reasons, so you don't cut yourself and so you don't scratch a door. So real quick before I finish, we're going to do the very same thing around the inside. All these ties on the inside, I'm going to open those up, and I'm going to take the ones on the outside and kind of fold them to the outer edge. And it just makes it here again easier. It's one less thing for me to have to do as I'm going around there. And since these ties are the same color, it's easy to get them mixed up. Sometimes on the outer ring, I'll do one color, and on the inner ring, a different color of pipe cleaners. But I did not do that today, so. All right, I think that's got everybody. Okay, here we go. Oops, one more. There we go. Same thing. So this one, I'm going to lay it inside there. And for this one, since it's on the inside, I am just going to do it one time. Just going to twist it just one time. It just makes it, whoops, you know what? If I slide that over there, I probably won't even have to do that. But I will for this one. That is a lesson next time, so you can see what I did. I didn't get my, I did not get my zip tie close enough over here to this tie, so I'm going to kind of have to close it up in this tie. It won't hurt anything, it's just one extra little thing you have to do. And if you're making, you know, a lot of these, every little bit of time that you can save helps. You know how they say time is money? That's that same thing. So I'm going to do the same thing here. 12 inches, about that. I'm going to go over here and tie it off a couple times. I'm going to come back. I'm not tying these, I'm only tying these, twisting these pipe cleaners a couple times because I'm going to come back and put ribbon and stuff in them. So I don't want to tie them down permanently because I'm going to have to open them up again anyway. Or at least come through there and do, you know, do some more stuff. I may or may not open them back up. We'll talk about that as we go through. So just going to continue on around here. This really does not take too long. I have learned that if you can get your setup done, and it kind of, as you do it more, you get more used to it, it goes a little faster. As you get your setup done, if you're going to know you're going to be working on 2 or 3 wreaths, sometimes I will go through and I'll do the pipe cleaners, you know, I do that step for all 2 or 3 of them and have those standing by ready. And then, kind of like an assembly line. And then when it's time to do the mesh, I've got everything ready. I just grab my mesh. I do mesh for everybody. I just kind of do that as I go along. So, and I think I just knocked something off my table, which I am forever doing. So I'll have to fetch that in a minute. I think it was probably some ribbon I knocked over here. Okay, we're just continuing to go on along here. We're almost back where we started again. It goes really fast. Now, I will tell you, when you make your own wreath forms, you know, using the Dollar Tree, if you just do 12 ties, then obviously it does not take as long, and it probably won't take as much mesh. But you will find that you do still get a really full wreath out of it. So it is totally your choice. When you buy a wreath form, a work wreath form, I should say, they usually will have somewhere around 16 to 18 ties because, you know, they're pre-made. They're usually a little bit bigger around. And I have used some of those. I found some of those from the Dollar Tree as well, some bigger ones, and then I just make my own. When I do those, I will usually do 16 to 18. I won't just do 12 ties. I'll do more ties on those. But for these, I find that 12 works really well. I've experimented with different numbers, and that's just kind of what I've settled on. So, all right, we're coming back around to the last one. Let's measure out our 12. I'm going to undo this tie, untwist it, and lay this down in it. Let's see if I can find my tie. There it is. Okay. So now this one actually has 2 layers of mesh in it, which is okay. One good thing about pipe cleaners is they are typically pretty long, so you have plenty of room, you know, to do stuff. So you can see this is, excuse me, this is what we have so far. We have 2, and it's very pretty. You can see it's a pretty wreath. So we've got, you know, a layer all around the outside and a layer around the inside. So since I have plenty of mesh left, and you can see that you can see kind of how much I have left there. I have all this left. We're going to go around and make a third row. So I do this sometimes, if I have basic mesh, and this is somewhere between basic and premium. It's not exactly basic, but it's definitely not premium either. So you can still see through it a little bit. This is perfect to use for a base for something like this. Because by the time you're done with a bow and a sign and ribbons and that kind of thing, this is just the background. So you may think it looks skimpy when you start and you're like, oh, I can see the frame through there. And I understand that, but believe me, by the time you get done putting all the goodies on there, you're not going to be able to see that, and nobody's going to notice it. So, but in this case, we're going to go back around and do a third row. And this one's going to fit between the top one and the bottom one. So I'm just going to transition down. This time I am not going to use a zip tie, I don't think. I'm just going to find the next tie in line. And it's right down here. So I'm going to take this mesh, lay it in there, just pull it tight, lay it in there. So there's your transition. Give it a couple good twists, and you're going to do the very same thing again. Try as you go to make sure those ends are tucked under. If some of them they get out, not a big deal. I'm going to tie this row as we go around. I'm going to tie these poofs to the bottom row. So I'm going to do that all along. Most of them as I go, I'm not going to untwist. I'm just going to put it on top. Unless it looks like, my pipe cleaner is a little bit short or something. So you can see, now we have three. Now we have three in there. And as I do a few, I'll show you. You can kind of tell the difference. And it's really going to turn out pretty. And it's, you've already opened this roll of mesh. It's fairly inexpensive. It is a good use of your mesh. It makes your wreath look a lot more full and a lot more on the premium side, I guess you might say. All right, so continue this all the way back around. Measure out our 12 inches. Make sure we're in between there. Right on top of that tie. And twist it in. Give that a couple twists. Right there. Okay. Keep going. The mesh is getting twisted. Okay. Around. 10. Make sure you're going up in between that first one and the second one there. You lay it on that tie. Now I will tell you, if you wanted to, another idea of something you could do, if perhaps you didn't have enough of, all of one mesh to do 3 rows with, and this is actually a perfect use if you have pieces of rolls left. I've done this before. You can do as many as you can, 1 row around, 1 row around, whatever. And then if you don't have enough to do a third one, then take a coordinating mesh, that you've got in 21 inch or even 10 inch if you need to, and make your third round with it. Do it in between, and then you have alternating colors. There's all sorts of things that you can do. I am all about trying to use up everything I've got. I mean, we have spent our hard-earned money for these supplies, so let's use them as much as we can. You know what I mean? There's no need to waste anything. So, okay, so now you can see I've gone all the way around. We'll go through and fluff. It makes this wreath so much more full with just that one little extra poof that we went around there and did. So now, for this, I'm going to pull it out, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 inches, something like that. And I'm going to cut it. Get this and roll it up. See, this will be a good one. I can use what's left over of this orange and do something with it. Halloween is coming. I've got some black. I can work those together. Who knows what I can do. So, like I said, we do not waste anything. So I'm going to take a third zip tie. Lay that down. I'm going to take this little piece that I cut and tuck it in between. Turn it upside down and you can see. Can you see where I pulled it through there? See that? We're going to do the very same thing that we did with those other zip ties. I'm just going to find a spot under here. I'm going to run it under one of the wires, the rings going around there, and I'm going to zip it shut. Alright, let's clip that off. Same thing we did with the other ones. Turn it and make sure that cut edge is on the inside. And now you can see the back of our wreath. How nice and neat that is. So there's a zip tie, there's a zip tie, and there's a zip tie. So we've got our ends of the mesh. They're all secured. You can take them and pull those two, you know, the start and the end, and pull those under if you want. You're not going to be able to see them. And look how pretty and full that looks. Can you see that? Isn't that nice? All right, good, good, good. So I think the next thing I'm going to do, I showed you my ribbons I'm going to use. I think before I get started with those guys, I need to get my sign ready. So I think that was actually my sign that I knocked off. You go over here and see. Yep, it was. Okay. So show you kind of what I do with my sign. So you can see this came from the Dollar Tree. I guess I got that this year. So okay, I'm going to clip off this little hanger. It comes with a hanger on it, ribbon. Clip that off. Now, as you can see, these are, I guess, MDF is what you call this. It's not all that thick. So I have learned the hard way that if you don't build this up a little bit, when you staple whatever you're going to use to attach it to your wreath, when you staple it, you know, to there, the staples can come through. So I'm going to look at this. We're probably going to do something like that, maybe with a bow over here is what I'm thinking. It's probably something like this, maybe with a bow over here, what I'm thinking. So I think if we do a tie maybe here and then one up here will be good. So maybe here and it, oops. So maybe here and here, I think. All right, let me see if I can put this down just a little, okay, so you can see that a little bit better. Okay, so here's what I do, what I have figured out to do. I measure, I'm going to put that over there because I'm not using it right now. So I just take some cardboard. You can take, you know, whatever. This is actually just a cardboard box, probably where I got some ribbon in or something. Because I might have a little bit of a ribbon problem. I'm going to cut it into just smaller pieces. Yep, you can see that good. So what I will do is I will lay a couple of these on both sides, and then I'll staple my stuff on. All right, so I got my glue gun, got it warmed up. So I'm just gonna, let's see here. So I'm gonna do that one right here, I think. So run a little bit of glue there. Press that down, and some up here, same way. Oh, ow, ow. And then I'm gonna layer on another one too, just to be sure, because when you go to staple, it will compress this cardboard. So you got to make sure you got enough on there. All right, right there. Let me grab a couple more hot cleaners. Just going to use orange ones because I already got them out there ready. Okay, this is still wet, but that's not a big deal. They're still, the hot glue's not dry yet. So, I hope you can see this. Yeah, you can. I'm just going to lay that, you know, try to kind of find kind of the center of your pot cleaner. Lay it on there. And I'm going to staple this twice. So you press down once, twice, and then I feel it did not go through, but you can see, you can kind of see how that's stapled on there. So, and then we're going to do just a little bit here in a minute to make sure that it stays good. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Did not come through good. And then just to make sure they don't go anywhere, just a little bit extra insurance, I'm going to take some hot glue and run over that. All right. And then I will set this aside while we work on the ribbons. Okay, so lots of tools, lots of stuff. So I think to do our ribbons, I'm going to do ribbon tails, and I'm going to plan on doing them 12 inches, I think. So I think for the ribbon tails, I'm just going to do these two colors. So I'm going to do this kind of khaki with the white crosshatch, I guess you say, on it, and then this kind of turquoise color. So if we compare them, or if you put the sign, it kind of matches this one, and then the khaki one reminded me kind of the sand, so that's why I chose that one as well. Alright, so let's see here. Let's get these open. And this one, 10 yards. I do not remember where I got these ribbon. So when you open one, you can see there's kind of a fold or a bend, kind of where they start the roll. You might as well go ahead and just trim that off. I have never yet been able to get that bend out, and I hate to, as I've already said, I don't want to waste stuff, so I would rather use that, but I've not found a good way to do that. So I'm going to show you guys what I do when it comes time to do my ribbon tails. So I typically just do 12-inch ribbon tails. I have a piece of cardboard. I have cut it 12 inches. I've measured it. I made a little note on here. And I just use this to measure my ribbon. So roll out a bunch of ribbon. So we have 12 ties total. We're going to do one of these and one of the khaki ones in each one of them. So I'm going to need 12. So there are other little devices and tools that you can get to measure tails out. And eventually I will get some of those. But like I said earlier, I'm still kind of on a budget, so right now my money I feel like is a little bit better spent on materials like ribbon and mesh and signs and all that good stuff. So anyway, that's on my list. I have a little list of, you know, a little wish list of things I want to get. And I will with time. It's just, you know, I'm just making do with what I have because I just think that's the best use of my money right now. So let's see, how many do I have? So just wrap it around. Every strip is 12 inches, I know. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. There's 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. Just get that off. Put that up there. So I have it wrapped, as you can see. So I'm going to take it, cut it from this end. Same thing up here. And I have 12 strips, 12 tails. So while I have these all together here, and this is pretty thick ribbon, so you're going to need some fairly good scissors if you want to do all this together. I am going to dovetail the ends of my tails, or chevron them. I'm going to try to do all of these at once. I think I can with these scissors, but we'll see. These are my better pair of scissors. So when you do this, line up the ends, the cut ends, and then you just fold long ways. Okay, so you can see how I have that folded in half. So when you chevron, you always start at the folded edge and cut up. Okay, see? And then I've got probably 6, should be 6 in here. Yep, so I've got 6 of them done, which is great. Same thing on the other end. Line up the cut ends, fold it in half long ways. Starting at the folded edge, cut upwards. Okay, wonderful. There's those. Then we're going to do these the same way. Sorry, I probably should have had all this prepared for you all, but I kind of wanted you to see how I did it, and I also didn't think that far ahead. So, like I said, this is my first official video making a whole wreath, so I'll do better next time. I'll shorten it up a little bit, but I do want to make sure you can see everything, all the steps. So, take these to the trash. You can see my fancy trash can. Yes, it is probably a 4-gallon bucket. Alright, so I've got those. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this ribbon. Let's open. Take this in, see the same little bend? And every time I do it, I try to get that out, but I think it's just where it's just where the wire bends, I think. Yep, it's still there. You might could use like an iron or something to get it out, but it's really not worth that much to me. So anyway, okay. So we're going to do the very same thing again. Start up here at the end. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So as I'm doing this, I would love it if you would give me a comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. I would also appreciate it greatly if you would share this video and like it. Like this video and share it. And the best thing that you could do for me right now is if you would subscribe to my channel. And if you'll do that and then you click the little bell icon, it will tell you whenever I have a new video come out. 4, 6, 7, 8. Alright, that should be 12. Because I will tell you, this is a new business. And I'm trying my best to grow it, but I can't do that without you. So I would appreciate, that would be like a little tip for me, I guess. Actually a big tip, not a little one, but a big one. So I'm doing the same thing. I just run my scissors under between the cardboard and that inner layer of ribbon and just cut across here. Like I said, if you're going to use, this is pretty thick ribbon. It's really good ribbon. If you're going to use that, you probably need some good scissors, I'll just say. So same thing, line up the ends. Fold it in half, starting at the folded edge, cut upward. Pretty little chevrons. It just makes them look really finished. You can also just cut them, if you don't want to chevron them, you can just either cut them straight across or you can cut them at an angle. So see, just that easy. There's 6. Hang on and I'll show you some other options of something you could do if you wanted to. You get these other ones done. Alright, so now, let's put that away because we're done with that for now. So I'm going to do something, I usually do this, it just saves a little time as you go. Takes a minute right now, but it's not going to be bad. I'm going to go ahead and alternate these and just stack them up like that. Because then when I'm ready to put them on the wreath, they're already done. You know, I don't have to grab one from each pile. It's already done for me. So, and I do this same thing if I'm using, you know, more than 2 ribbons. Sometimes I use 4 different ribbons for tails, but today I just decided to go with these because this had lots of orange. I didn't want another orange ribbon in here. I just thought these would be pretty, so a good alternate. Let's do these last few. Get these lined up here. I want to thank y'all again for joining me. It just means a lot. I do have an Etsy shop. If you will look, should be down, you know, below the video. There will be a link to it. If you would go visit that, I would greatly appreciate it. If you see anything that you like, certainly you can purchase it. If you see something that you think you might want to, you know, do something similar to it, favorite it, or you can pin it. Any kind of, you know, any looks like that, I just appreciate. So let me show you all really quick a couple different ways. You know, we did the chevron. Show you one more time. So you just, you know, take this, cut the edge, and you fold it together, and you cut from the folded edge up. You get the chevron. Okay, you can cut straight across, which this one makes it pretty easy because it's got this line. I hardly ever do that because I can't cut straight. But you can also do it like this and just cut, you know, kind of upward. That's pretty too. And that is especially pretty, like on a 1.5 inch, something like this. That looks really good on that. So, all right, let's see here. Move these ribbons over here out of the way a little bit. Move my wreath up here. Put this big boy up here. Let's get busy with some ribbon tails. Okay, so I've got these my 2 ribbons. Lay them on top of each other. I kind of find the middle, fold it like this, and then you just pinch the middle, just like that. So it kind of makes like a little bow tie. You can take it, make kind of a little birdie, do it like that, makes them flip out. See how pretty that is? And you just find one of your ties. You can start on the inside or the outside, totally up to you. I'm not going to unfasten these ties. I'm just going to lay it on top. And because this is the last thing I'm going to put in these ties, I'm going to do it a good, probably 3 or 4 times in there tightly. And then I'm going to cut my tie off. I leave about probably an inch or so. And then I fold it under. And then I'm going to take these, our tails, and just pull them out into an X. You can do them like that. You can leave them like they are. It's totally up to you. I like them like that, and then you just make sure they kind of curl. And as you go around the wreath, you'll have to, you'll probably have to recurl them because they get kind of smushed as you're doing things back and forth. Don't worry about that. You will find that you'll spend a whole lot of your time fussing with ribbon, or at least I do. So just, just expect that. It's not unusual, or at least it's not for me. So, okay, we're just going to go around and do the very same things. 3, 4, tie that good, snip that off, fold that under. I don't cut it too short because if something were to happen that I needed to get back into this tie, I want to be able to have enough that I can do that and close it back up. So, and that is the voice of experience talking because I've had to do that before. So I'm just going to continue all the way around, same thing. In the middle, fold it, pinch it. Make it a little birdie, call it a little birdie, curl it like that. See how it looks? Just find your next one. Alright. So go along through there. I would love it if you would maybe in the comments, like I said, tell me where you're from, where are you watching me from. Tell me what is your goal? Are you watching this just for fun? Do you make wreaths for profit? Are you thinking about starting a wreath business? Are you just doing this for yourself? All very good reasons. I'm just curious. I want to learn a little bit more about you. So I would appreciate, just share with me a little bit in there. So as I go through here, I'm going to poof that, kind of make sure I pull that orange mesh up. See how pretty that looks against that? Alright, so I'm going to continue around. Keep going here. I don't know if I told you all, but I am in Tennessee. You might be able to hear that. You might be able to tell that when you hear me talk. I am from the South, born and bred. Right now I'm in the Nashville area. I did not grow up in the city. I grew up in the country east of here. But this is where life has brought me right now, so this is where I am. I am happy to be here. I am blessed to be able to live the life that I live, so I'm happy. It is not my ultimate goal to be in the city, long term, but it's where I am right now. It's where I need to be, and it's a good place. So, alright, I'm just doing the same things over and over, going through there, tying it off like 3 or 4 times, snipping it off with about an inch left, and then pulling my ribbon tails out. Now, something that I have learned in the time that I have already been making wreaths, the quality of your ribbon makes a huge difference. Just like the quality of your mesh, sometimes you will spend a little bit more, for good mesh and for good ribbon, although I don't like to spend a whole lot, but good ribbon makes a huge difference. When it is kind of sturdy and it is thick, it's not thin, it will stand up better. It's more likely to do what you want it to do. So look how pretty that looks just with that top layer. We're going to go all the way around the bottom and do the same thing and continue on. And like I said, sometimes I will alternate and I will use like 4 different kinds of ribbon, but today I just settled on these 2 and I thought they would look the best. And so far, I'm pretty happy with that. The contrast with that orange, I think, is good. Okay, so I'm going to do the very same thing out here, down here. 3 or 4 good turns. Now, on the bottom, I don't necessarily make an X, like a cross. I will pull them out just like we did on the top. But this other mesh can kind of smush them down a little bit. That's a technical term, smush. So I won't necessarily pull them quite as wide out. You can. It doesn't hurt a thing. That's just kind of not quite as much. You can see on that one. So thank y'all so much for being here with me and for staying with me. I just appreciate you so much. You know, I have a lot of plans for this channel as I can build up some followers. I shouldn't say more followers because I don't think I have any yet. But once I get followers and start building them up, I have some plans. I want to do some giveaways. You know, I want to share things. I want you guys to share with me just as much as I share with you, because you're the reason I'm here. If you weren't out there, there'd be no reason for me to be here doing my little videos. So, alright, I think we've just got maybe 3 more. And then we are going to put on our sign, and then we're going to make a pretty bow. I love bows. And bows they can be a challenge. They're still a challenge for me, and I've made several now, but I get better. I can tell I'm already a lot better than when I started. So if you are new and are discouraged with your bow making, hang in there. Let's hang in there together. How about that? Because I am sometimes, and I just think, oh, I'm never making another bow because they're awful. But stick with it. Don't let it get you. Don't let it be the boss of you. You are the boss of it. So, you know, if you have to, let it make you mad. Sometimes that's when I do my best work, is when I get mad because I get frustrated because I can't do something, or I can't figure out how to do it right, or that kind of thing. Sometimes that is the best way, because then I just get mad and I just get in there and just keep trying. You know, just get you some 2 or 3 rolls of ribbon. Don't spend a ton on it, and get to practicing. I'm going to turn my fan on just a little bit here. I have a fan down here. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Move it over this way a little bit. Whew, I'm getting hot in here. It's all this talking, I guess. Probably nerves, maybe just a little bit too, so, because I am a little bit nervous being on here for the very first time and talking to you guys and everything. It makes a girl nervous. I never have been a huge fan of, you know, public speaking and that kind of stuff. So I just wish you all could know what an accomplishment it is for me to even be on here and do this, and to think that people are actually going to be watching me. All right, one more. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy with this. This is so pretty. A little bit different. So like I said, I do have a little Etsy shop. I am working hard to build up my inventory in there. I think I only have, I don't know, 30 something wreaths maybe in there now. But I'm working. This one that I'm, you know, making right now, it'll go in there. Oops. What was that? It will go in there. And let me tell you about that. It is easy to be discouraged. You know, you think you put this stuff in there and you wait for it to sell. And sometimes you wait, and it does it for a little while. Turn this up a little bit so I can talk to you. But I want you to hang in there. Don't be discouraged. I have sold probably just a handful of wreaths so far, but I am not giving up, because I think if it's worth it to you, sometimes you got to stick with it. And it may not be easy, and that's okay, because sometimes the best things you have to work the hardest for. But in the end, you realize they're totally worth it. So, that's my little philosophy lesson for the moment. Okay, let's see. As soon as I find my bow dabber, here we go. Okay, so bow maker. That's one of those things that's on my wish list to get. You know, right now I have the bow dabber, and that's it. So I'm gonna turn this back down so you can see a little bit better. We're gonna make our bow using the bow dabber. Actually, I think I said we were going to put our sign on first, didn't I? Alright, let's check this out. Okay, you can see, you know, our glue is all good. Our ties are on there. Our cute little sign. Whoops, upside down. Cute little sign. Set him aside. Move this up here. So, one thing you can do, look at your wreath, and if for some reason, you know, one area doesn't look as good as another, the mesh didn't poof right, or something, you know, you just don't like it, put your sign there. Cover that up. Over here it looks like it might be just a little bit thinner, so I'm going to put my sign right here. So what do y'all think? Like that? I think so. So to put this on here, I'm going to take my pipe cleaners, and I'm going to find my way down through the mesh in between the poofs, and I always attach, or I try my best to attach my sign to the frame, to the middle of the frame. So let me show you if you can see it. You may not be able to see it, since I should have chosen a different color tie so you could see it. But I have taken it and I've gone, so this 1, 2, 3, this third ring around here is in between. I have it around it. So kind of look at the sign on here, looks good from there. I'm going to do it, I'm going to twist it just 2 or 3 times right now. I'm not going to do it on here permanently because sometimes you have to move it around, that kind of thing. It's easier if you don't have it really tightly. Do the very same sort of thing up here at the top. So you just take it, work it around through there, put your tie down in there. There's one, let's do the other one, same sort of thing. Doing the very same thing. So I'm taking it and going around. This is the third ring. The third ring is in between. So let's see, how does that look as far as tightness? You don't want to squish your poofs or your ribbons or anything, so I don't put it super tight, but you want it on there so it won't go anywhere. So I'm going to twist that off like 3 or 4 times, and then I'm just going to take that and I'm going to wrap it around the frame. That just helps secure it a little bit more. And it also, your customers, if they want to decide sometime they want to take this sign off and put on a different one, they can do that. All they got to do is untwist it and put on a different one. So I'll do the same thing with this one. The good thing about these pipe cleaners is they're the same color as the mesh, so you're never going to see them. You could always trim them off a little bit shorter if you wanted to, but I don't see a need for it. So, all right. So we get it on there. Do the shake test. The dude's not going anywhere. Good. Let's see. Let's move that back over here. Let's get this. I think I knocked some ribbon off. So once I do this, I always go under it. And if you've got ribbon tails that kind of got trapped under there or something, pull those out. You can pull. You can do these. So I have the little hole here where that tie was. Sometimes I will use my ribbons and kind of cover that up. Just kind of disguise it a little bit. Do that. There we go. And like I said, you will fool with this ribbon, a half a dozen more times before you're done. So here's where we are so far. Nothing at all wrong with this. This is a beautiful wreath. If you wanted to leave it just like this, perfect. It would be really cute if you had some little seashells or other little starfish or little crabs you wanted to put on here. But even just like this, it is very, very cute. There's nothing at all wrong with that. Every time you do something, you just add another layer. But you stop when you're happy, As for me, I think we're going to make a bow. So, got my bow dabber. Once again, I think I have knocked some ribbon or something off over here. I have. So, let me get those picked up. Back over here. Alright, so you are probably familiar with the bow dabber, but I'm going to give you like a little quick tutorial, I guess. So, I have got wire. This is 26 gauge. I use 26, and then I think have some 22, but I kind of like the 26 a little bit better. It's more flexible. So I'm going to roll off a whole lot more than I feel like I'm going to need, but better to have a foot too much wire than to be an inch too short, let me tell you. Here again, that is the voice of experience talking. And it's a little hint about wire. So, you may know this, but in case you don't, I didn't, so I'll share it with you. The larger the number, the smaller the wire. So, I can show you two of them. So the one I'm using is 26 gauge. So it is, you probably can't see it, but 26 gauge. It's little. And then another one that I have is 22. This is 22 gauge. So it's thicker. And you may not be able to tell a difference. I don't know. Let me try and hold them up here side by side and see what you think. If you can see. Anyway, 22 versus 26. So the 20, I have 26 too because sometimes I need to use it. I use it sometimes if I'm doing a grapevine wreath because it can be hard to get that wire through the grapevine, and a little bit when it's a little bit thicker, a little bit stiffer, it goes more easily. So I have just taken this piece of wire. It is about 39 or 40 inches, and I have folded it in half. So I have a loop right here. You see that? A little loop. And I've got the other end. So on the bow dabber, I'm going to slide my wire down the middle. And then when you get a bow dabber, it has instructions that shows you what to do. And it will probably come with some wire as well. But you don't have to use that wire. You can, if you certainly can if you want to, but you don't have to. So I'm just tucking the ends under, just so that they stay out of the way. Okay, let's see here. What are we going to do first? You know, we've got that pretty sand color and the turquoise. We might just do our bow out of 1.5 inch. Sometimes I do that just to make something, just to, you know, be a little bit different. Start with this one. We'll just alternate. Do we want to do that? I want to do, you know what? I think I'll give it a base of this, and then we'll go with that. So I'm going to start with this thicker, with the 2.5 inch. Okay. So I'm going to measure out a tail of about 10 inches, and you put it down in the bow dabber. Now, since this ribbon, if you look at it, it has a good side and a bad side. Most ribbon does, not all of it. But, of course, your goal is to have the good side up, because that's the pretty side. So, we put it down in there, and now we've got to get the pretty side back up. So, we're going to twist it right there in the bow dabber. And then, I'm going to come out. I'm going to make my loops, these loops, about 6 inches, I think. So I kind of measure with my hand out a little bit. I'm going to spread it out and loop it, and that will give me about 6 inches. Let's see, is that right? Yep, that'll give me about 6 inches. Same thing on this side. Loop my hand out from my thumb, put my pinky out, bring it down. Is that about right? Yep. And if you want to check them to make sure that they are even, just bring them up. Yep, those are. So I think I'll do maybe 4 loops of this. So on this second set of loops, you don't really have to measure. You can use that first set as your guide. Just lay it down on top, twist it, lay that one down, get it about where it needs to go, and then we will trim off another tail. Okay, we'll get that back out of the way. So right now we have pretty khaki on here. I'm going to pull these tails down, kind of move those loops aside a little bit. You can kind of do that a little bit in the bow maker. I think there are other bow makers that you maybe can do a little bit more easily in, but like I said, this is the one that I have right now. So, and eventually I may get another one, a different kind, not to replace this one, but to use along with it. But for now, this is what we're going with. So, all right, now I'm going to move to a 1.5 inch. I think this one is pretty, and it kind of combines all those colors. So, and it has a good side and a bad side as well. I'm going to just take it and kind of smooth it in my fingers. Okay, I'm going to tail about even to that one. I'm going to do this very same thing. We've got to get that good side back up on top. So you put it in there and you twist it at about 6 inches. Let's see, is that about 6? Let's see, 8 and 2. Yep, about 6. Same thing. Make sure you get that twist right there in the middle, because that's where your wire is going to go, and that's going to help later when it's time to fluff your bow. Let's see. I don't think that is quite long enough. There we go. This wire is not very stiff, so it's a little bit harder to work with. It is still good wire, but it's just the material is a little bit more flimsy. It's really pretty though. Same thing here. Do 4 of those, I still want 4. Yep, I think so. Alright, measure this out. Got the tail probably a little bit longer than we need, but that's okay. Move that one out of the way. Okay. Push these tails down. Move these bows a little bit. Make sure you're holding it in the middle so nothing comes loose. Alright. Now I think we'll do this turquoise and white stripe. I think I want to finish with this pretty orange with the sheer, because then you'll really be able to see that sheer, I think so. Okay, same thing again. Measure out a tail. If it's a little bit long, that's okay. This one I think will come about maybe 5 inches. So a little bit shorter. And what that's going to do is it's going to make the middle of your bow kind of stand up a little bit better. So roll some of that. Measure about 5 inches. Yep. Okay. Twist. And let's see, 7. Yep, about 5 inches again. Good. Twist. I'm just doing 2 loops at each of these colors at the moment. And then that one, okay. Camera tail. One out of the way. Okay. Got something. This carpet I keep stepping in. That's all I need to get, you know, step on a piece of wire. There's no telling what's on the carpet in here. Okay. Do these little guys again. And when you put him on the, when you put this bow, you know, on the wreath, you're going to fluff it, you're going to move stuff around, all that stuff. This is just a little bit of preliminary, not anything big. So then we're going to finish off, I think, with this pretty orange. Okay, so same thing. Tail, push it out. Do about probably 4.5 or so. 4 to 4.5 inches, a little bit shorter again. Come in about maybe a 1/2 inch or so. 8. Like that. Okay. This is going to end up being a good size bow, so that's a good thing. Oops. Get down there. Twist, and then finally, I got both of those. Yep. All right. Tail, this ribbon out the way. All right, so now we got this big boy. Look at all that pretty ribbon. So I'm going to take my wire, each end. You could do this same thing. If you don't want to use a wire, you can use a long zip tie. Either one works. And if you don't think to put it in first, don't sweat it. Lift your ribbon up just carefully a little bit and slide your wire or your zip tie under it. I have done that, you know, a lot. Get all excited about making a bow and forget to put the wire in. So I'm going to pull this up tight, and then we got it out of the bow maker. Move it there. Move that out of the way, and you can kind of see it's pretty thick. You can see the wire. Hold it in my hand, tighten it up, and I'm going to work it so that, and I didn't tell you what I did with that wire. So I brought up the wire, and the end that I had looped, I took the other end and ran it through it, so it kind of looped it around it. Okay, so now I'm going to pull that around the back, and I'm going to twist the wire a few times. This is just to make sure it just hangs on really good. Like I said, it's way too long, but that's okay, we'll trim that. And then I'm going to take one end and run it around the middle, one direction. And then I'll take the other one and do the same thing. This just gives a little bit more security for this bow, because you don't want this coming loose. And then I'm going to twist it. Alright, several good times to get that there. Okay, so now you can see what our bow looks like. Pull this dude up here. You can fluff him a little bit now if you want to. A lot of times I'll just wait till I get him on the wreath and do the majority of it, but kind of do some of it now if you want. It's going to be so pretty on here. Okay. I think that'll get us for right now. Okay, so we've got our sign I'm going to put our bow, I think, like right in here, and then we'll be able to use these. We'll arrange our tails and everything. Can you guys see that? Okay, let's move all this over here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take my wire and do the very same thing that I did with the sign. I'm going to take it and run it down through the mesh, and then we're going to attach it to the frame. So just find a spot down through here that you can take it. Some of it's, you know, a lot of it's done more by feel than by sight. That's a pretty good spot, I think. Are we happy with it there? Okay. Now, you can adjust a little bit back in here if you need to. Like, I want it to go down a little bit. Move it down a little bit. What I'm going to do is put, see I've got you can see I've got crossbar right here. Here's my wire, my 2 pieces of wire. I'm going to run one of them on one side of the crossbar.